Welcome to the Silver Screen Guide podcast, where we discuss films from every genre. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast.
Happy Oscars Eve, listeners. This is your co-host, Corbin.
I'm Allen from Chicago. Actually, today I'm not from Chicago, and I won't be in Chicago unless I get a job there, because right now I am graduated, so I guess for now, until further notice, I'm just Allen.
Today we are giving you our Oscar predictions. Tomorrow, the January 22nd, which is tomorrow, the Oscar nominees will be announced, and we will be doing a podcast giving our thoughts over the nominees. But for now, I thought it would be fun for Al and I to predict which ones we think should be nominated for the Oscars. And I know I've been looking forward to this all year. We had a blast watching the movies and figuring everything out last year. That was so much fun, and I look forward to doing that again this year, especially now that Alan, there's a Regal Cinema near. That's and right. He can get the festival pass.
That's very right. And that I'm actually kind of excited for, because that was one of the bigger reasons why I wasn't able to see most of the flicks last year, is because they either didn't come to where I was at, or I didn't have a chance to see it. And by the time that it had come out of theaters, left the theaters, it had been put in limbo for however long until it was released onto Blu-ray or something. So there are a couple of them that a few of them actually, I did not get to see for whatever reason. And you got to see, I think, all of them, all the Best Picture nominees at least.
Yeah, I saw all the Best Picture nominees, and I saw almost all of the nominees except for Best Foreign Film and some of those other ones, short films and things like that. I didn't get to see those, but there was just a couple mainstream ones like Molly's Game, The Disaster Artist, and a couple others. All the Money in the World. I just saw Molly's Game and All the Money in the World, so I was kind of going back through, and there was, I think, 4 of them like that, and I, Tonya was the other one. Right. So I think I have 2 left to kind of complete last year's Oscars run of films.
Right.
But this year, I'm intrigued to see what we are going to get with some of these nominees, because in a few categories, I don't have anything. I don't have anything in sound editing. I just didn't think about that while seeing movies this year. And I'm intrigued to see where the actresses and actors will go. I do have just a couple, not many, but my guess is a lot of those will go to movies that you and I haven't seen yet, because they either came out in a limited release at the tail end of last year, and they'll probably get a wide release this year. So that gets difficult when that kind of thing happens.
Yeah. And I know that there are a number that came out within the last, let's say, month or so that I haven't had a chance to see yet. I know you've had a chance to see a couple of them. But for instance, I haven't seen Vice or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse or Rough Breaks the Internet. There are a few of them that I just haven't been able to see yet. And from what I've looked at other people's lists, just to see where other people's prediction list for this next year, just to see where we're at, I was curious to know. And there are a few, actually, a lot of them on there were ones that I just hadn't seen yet. So hopefully I'll be able to get to them before the Oscars actually go on February 22nd, I think.
Yeah, for this year, one of the things that I did, listeners, was I used the Letterboxd app to keep kind of a total of what my predictions were going to be for the year. So every time I saw a movie and I thought it was Oscar worthy, I would stick it in the list and I would put in the notes what I thought categories it would be in. So that was an easy way for me to keep track and just remember what I saw and what I thought would be coming to the Oscars. And then I have a nice, neat Excel spreadsheet that I created last year, and I just filled everything in that way. So it was pretty easy kind of determining my Oscar picks for the year based on what I saw. And go back and listen to Alan and I's best and worst of the year, and that'll kind of give you a little more information about the movies we did see that year and what we thought of those movies as well. I know Alan and I both saw quite a bit of movies last year, so I think we can I think we'll have some decent nominees here on this list. Better than previous years when we were in college and saw next to nothing and had no idea what was coming to the Oscars.
Yeah, definitely. We've had a lot more, I guess, success watching movies that came out this year and judging them for the Oscars as well.
All right, listeners. Well, let's kick it off with the first category that I have down. And I guess just a disclaimer real quick. Alan and I have all of the really big main categories, but there's just a couple where Alan might not have anything and I might not have anything either, just because we didn't see movies we felt deserved to go into those categories. But the first category, like I said, that I do have is Best Makeup. And quick story, I wish I wouldn't have taken it off the list last year, because come to find out, I saw there's only 3 movies nominated, and I saw 2 of the 3, I think, and I think I might have picked the right one for it, or at least I could have, because I think the choice was obvious. It was Darkest Hour for Gary Oldman's makeup, clearly.
Oh, yeah.
And I took it off, and that kind of messed up how many movies I picked right. So this year, I'm not taking it off. And this year, I only have one pick, and that is Chappaquiddick. Jason Isaacs Jason Clarke is his name. He played Ted Kennedy. So the makeup looked good.
Yeah, this is one that I actually don't have anything on for this one.
Okay, my next category is Best Documentary. And I only have 3 picks of the 5. I have Won't You Be My Neighbor, Pope Francis, A Man of His Word, and 3 Identical Strangers. Of those 3, my money is on, and I'm not really betting, but that's just an expression. My money is on Won't You Be My Neighbor.
Yeah, for me, I've got Won't You Be My Neighbor as well, but also RBG. I am going to have to go with Won't You Be My Neighbor. That one seemed to get a lot of buzz when it came out. So I honestly would put my money on that one, that Won't You Be My Neighbor might be I'm sure to get nominated. Whether or not it'll win, possibly. I think it has a pretty good, from what I have understood here, this and 3 Identical Strangers, I think, have probably the best chance of getting an Oscar, but we'll see.
My next category is Best Visual Effects. Do you have anything aside from that?
Yes, I do. So for me, I have 4 here. I've got First Man, Ready Player One, Avengers Infinity War, and Black Panther. Now, I'm going to say First Man and Black Panther are 2 that I'm kind of skeptical about. More so Black Panther. I put it on here more just to say that it seems like everybody is wanting Black Panther to get this category. I don't necessarily think so. First Man, I could definitely see getting one, but perhaps I'm leading a bit more towards Avengers Infinity War, mostly due to the fact of what they did with Thanos. And Ready Player One, if that one did get nominated, I think I wouldn't be that mad about it, especially that scene especially the Shining scene that I know we talked about in the podcast we did over it. But I think Avengers Infinity War, honestly, just in terms of how much they use it and how good it is, I think that Avengers Infinity War could win it. Although First Man, I wouldn't be mad at that one either.
Yeah, I have 5 picks for Best Visual Effects. I have Ready Player One, First Man, Avengers Infinity War, Jurassic World, and possibly, just to round out the list, Rampage. But I doubt that. And my pick would probably be Avengers Infinity War. They did some incredible visual effects with Josh Brolin as Thanos. But I could see it going to Ready Player One. It was a great visual feast for the eyes. But First Man was truly incredible on the visual effects as well, what they were able to achieve. I don't really think it's going to be Jurassic World. It just looks too clean, I guess. We've just seen it before.
Yeah. I know we kind of mentioned that in the podcast, is the special effects, they're fine, but they're not fantastic.
Next, I have Best Costume Design. And I have 4 picks. I have Christopher Robin for Jenny Beavan, First Man for Mary Zophres, Black Klansman for Marcy Rogers, and I have Crazy Rich Asians, and I didn't write their names down because it was a long list.
Yeah, this is when I didn't have anything on. I don't have anything for costume design.
And I don't know original song or original score. I don't have anything for either of those two.
I don't have original song, but I do have original score. That would be If Beale Street Could Talk. I think I can stay getting nominated, possibly First Man as well, but I might lean more towards If Beale Street Can Talk. That's one I think has a very good possibility of winning. First Man, it's gotten a lot of other lists, like the critics list and the producers list, but I could definitely see getting on the Oscar list, but I don't know if it's necessarily worthy of getting that Oscar. Don't get me wrong, the music's fine, but I think that If Beale Street Could Talk is, honestly, in my opinion, just better.
My next category is production design. For that, I have Christopher Robin, First Man, Crazy Rich Asians, Roma, and Annihilation. I think this is a hard pick, but I would say First Man has a very good shot, and Roma has a very good shot, and then a possible dark horse pick is Annihilation.
And for me, I have 6 on this one. I have Roma, Mid-90s, Searching, Sorry to Bother You, Isle of Dogs, and Mary Poppins Returns. Now, that one I haven't seen, but from what I've understood, it's been on a lot of other people's lists, so it's very possible that one could win, but I'm not really giving an opinion on that because I haven't seen it. My pick for this, I could see Sorry to Bother You because it is just so weird, but I might end up going Isle of Dogs just because of the way that it looks, and I think that it definitely is worthy because Wes Anderson is behind the wheel of everything on that movie, and you can definitely tell. I think that for that one, I think it could win, and my money would be on Isle of Dogs, but I definitely wouldn't be surprised if Roma wins. Mid-90s, possibly, but maybe not. I'm not betting too much on that one.
I do have one other possibility, and that is The Ballad of Buster Scruggs for production design.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard pretty good things about that one too.
Okay, I didn't get anything for sound mixing or sound editing. I barely understand those to begin with anyway, so I don't think I'm even qualified to guess what those may be.
Yeah, for me, I have 2, Avengers Infinity War and A Quiet Place for both. I'm going to have to go with A Quiet Place, in my own humble opinion, for those 2 categories. But yeah, those were really the only 2 that I felt could be on this list, and maybe there are some other picks that might be better that I haven't seen yet.
Alan, do you have anything down for film editing?
Let me look. I thought I wrote something down. Yes, I do. I have 3. I've got First Man, First Reformed, and Widows for film editing. And I probably could see First Man and Widows, either one of those getting that award.
Yeah, those are good picks. I hadn't really thought about it much, and I didn't really have anything down, but if I was going to go with something, First Reformed is a strong possibility, and I also think Roma might be as well.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely could see First Reformed getting that, at least getting nominated, maybe an Oscar, but if it did get that Oscar, I wouldn't be sad about it at all.
Now for cinematography, I have First Reformed, Christopher Robin, and Roma. My pick it's a really strong contention between First Reformed and Roma. That's such a tough pick, but I might have to give the edge to Roma, actually.
And for me, I have 3. I have First Reformed, First Man, and Roma. For me, I think it's hands down Roma. I think I mentioned to you that it's a kind of a movie where you could literally pause it on any frame, and you could pause it at any time and you could frame it. It looks that good. Every single scene is very, very picturesque. I could definitely see that getting a nomination, and I would hope that it wins because I think it definitely deserves it.
Absolutely. Okay, now for Best Animated Feature Film, I have Isle of Dogs, Incredibles 2, Early Man, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and Ralph Breaks the Internet. I haven't seen Ralph Breaks the Internet. I've seen the other 4. I originally had Teen Titans Go to the Movies, despite it. I don't think it deserved it, but last year we had some pretty bad ones. And that was the only other animated movie I saw that I could think of. But then right before the podcast, Alan said Ralph Breaks the Internet. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to throw that down here.
Yeah. And for me, I've got 4, 2 which I haven't seen. I'll mention those here in a second. So I have Incredibles 2 and Isle of Dogs. Those 2 I have seen. And Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Ralph Breaks the Internet are 2 I haven't seen, but they're getting a lot of buzz. So possibly could see, I'm sure we'll get at least a nomination for Ralph Breaks the Internet. Spider-Man, maybe. A lot of people tend to really enjoy that movie, so it's very possible we might see a Best Animated Feature Film nomination for this, which would be quite surprising. But I'm going to have to go... I would like for Isle of Dogs to win, because I really enjoyed that movie, although not the best Wes Anderson movie. I think that it was better than Incredibles 2, but I have a feeling that Incredibles 2 or Ralph Breaks the Internet might be the winners of this category. That's just usually how it rolls with the Oscars. Disney tends to almost always win the category for Best Animated Feature if they have one that's released that year.
My guess is this year, Spider-Man is going to take home the Golden Statue. It is the best film of all of on the Best Animated Feature Film list. It is hands down easily the best film, but I do see maybe Isle of Dogs giving it a run for its money, because previously Wes Anderson was nominated for Fantastic Mr. Fox, and he might have won. I don't remember if he won, but I know he was at least nominated, I'm pretty sure. So he's back, and I'm thinking he might get that for Isle of Dogs. And maybe a dark horse would be Ralph Breaks the Internet, but I highly doubt it. I really see it going to Spider-Man, but we'll see. All right, my next category is Original Screenplay. And for that, I have A Quiet Place, First Reformed, 8th Grade, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and my dark horse pick, very possibly, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Let's see, you said a Best Adapted Screenplay, or did you say original?
Original.
Okay. I only have 2. I've got Widows and 8th Grade for my 2 picks. I could definitely see 8th Grade getting that Oscar. I think it probably deserves it, just by the nature of it.
So would you pick 8th Grade over First Reformed?
Oh yeah, I guess I probably should add First Reformed to the original. Crap, no, I forgot about that, yeah. Actually, I might have to go First Reformed for that for Best Original Screenplay. But 8th Grade would be pretty close in my mind. I could definitely see the Academy going for either one, but I'm guessing First Reformed might be the one that takes it.
Well, the reason I put down A Quiet Place is because I thought it was really impressive for John Krasinski's first feature film, with him directing and writing and starring. I found that to be very impressive. And it also kind of made me think of Jordan Peele last year, how he was getting nominated in all those categories for his first feature film. Now it's debatable which movie you think is better, but that's not really the question here. I did think the writing was very well done for A Quiet Place, but for all of the writing on here, I think that's really tough. I don't think Spider-Man will win. I think it would be cool to see it get the nomination. Oh, I'm sorry. Spider-Man probably shouldn't be an original screenplay. I actually have it on here twice. I have it in adapted screenplay where it should be. Yeah. So, my bad. Scratch that. I guess I only have 4 on here. But
well, yeah, I've also got to make a small correction too, because Widows is actually based off a book, and I was thinking that when I wrote it down, I was like, maybe.
That's cool.
I just looked it up. It is. It's based off a book, which I figured.
So I don't know. I can, you know what? I can very well see it going to First Reformed, and honestly, it probably should go to First Reformed because that writing in that movie is breathtaking. It's incredible.
Yeah. If First Reformed won, I would be very happy.
All right. Next for adapted screenplay, I have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I also have Crazy Rich Asians, Black Klansman, First Man, and Christopher Robin.
I have First Man, and I can see Black Panther getting a nomination, but my money would not be on... I don't really want that one to win. First Man, I definitely could see getting the nomination, though. I only have 2 here. But First Man, I think that probably could get it for Best Adapted Screenplay.
I did, for other possibilities, I did have Black Panther getting at least the nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay, but I said this when I put it out there in the list. I don't think it should win, nor do I even think it should be nominated. It very well may be, but I just wanted to throw that out there to put it on the record that it's possible, listeners, so that we could see Black Panther getting that nomination. Or if Disney gets their way, it'll get nominated in every single category, but I hope not.
Yeah, so far from what I've seen from the critics list and the producers list and the Golden Globes, Black Panther has been, especially in the Golden Globes, it was everywhere. It was in almost every single category that they had nominated for nominations. And I don't think it's won anything yet from those lists. Maybe one or two things, but it's been nominated for everything. So it's very possible we'll see nominations, but in terms of winning anything, maybe not.
Now, as for what I think will get Best Adapted Screenplay, First Man would probably be the smartest pick for this category. I don't see it going to Crazy Rich Asians. Maybe Black Klansman. It was pretty well written.
Yeah, and I could also see it going to Widows as well. Now, I mentioned that before when it was supposed to be in this one. So I could see Widows getting it, but I'm gonna have to go. Man, that's actually a pretty hard pick. In terms of my own pick, I would probably say First Man, but I could definitely see Widows getting it.
Unfortunately, I have not seen Widows yet. That's one I need to see soon.
Ah, man. You should.
Right now, I don't have anything in Best Actress in a Supporting Role. Do you?
I have one thing, and that's Claire Foy for First Man. I saw it in somebody else's list. I was like, yeah, I guess I could see that. But other than that, I couldn't really think of anybody else that would go in this kind of a category from what I've seen. So, and Claire Foy, I mean, I think she did a good job. Best Actress in a Supporting Role for an Oscar, possibly. I don't really know of anybody else that would go on this list, or this category.
Okay, so I actually did nearly put Claire Foy in the supporting role category, but then I wasn't sure if she was considered supporting or leading, so I just went ahead and threw her in the leading category. So I do have Claire Foy as well, but just in a different category.
Okay. I mean, I could see her doing both, but I would guess that she would be in the supporting role if she was going to get an Oscar for her acting job there.
Okay, now as for Best Actor in a Supporting Role, I actually have Adam Driver down for Black Klansman. I think he turned in a phenomenal performance, so I would like to see him get a nomination.
And I have the exact same thing. I have Adam Driver for Black Klansman. I could definitely see him getting this Oscar. I couldn't really think of anybody else that would go in this category. But Adam Driver, once again, he does a very good job at acting in any kind of role he's given. So far, I've seen him in a lot of movies, and so far, I really haven't seen anything I didn't like. So, very possible he could get this. He could get this, at least this nomination, and possibly this Oscar. I wonder what else is going to be for this role, for this category. I'm curious.
Now, for Best Actress in a Leading Role, I have. Well, okay, it's kind of funny because I still have it, Emily Blunt in A Quiet Place, but it's more likely Emily Blunt will get it for Mary Poppins.
I've heard a lot of great things about Mary Poppins Returns, so it's possible I might walk off with a few Oscars this year.
It very well may be, and yeah, it'll most likely be in the original song and music categories.
I'm sure.
Very likely. Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah, I've got 3 for actors in a leading role. I've got, see if I can pronounce this correctly. Yalitza, the girl from Roma, begins with Yalitza. I think she could definitely get the Oscar. Elsie Fisher from 8th Grade, I think, really does deserve that actress in a leading role Oscar nomination.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then my last one is Viola Davis from Widows. I think she did a great job as well, as usual. But my own pick, I was going to have to go with Elsie Fisher from 8th Grade. I think she, for what she was given in the role and the way that she played, I think she did a fantastic job. So I could definitely see her getting that Oscar. I would really like her to get to walk away with the golden statue.
I think for Best Actor in a Lead Role, I think we're going to see John Krasinski in A Quiet Place. I think we're going to see Ethan Hawke in First Reformed, and very possibly Chadwick Boseman in Black Panther. I don't think Chadwick deserves it. the guy who led in Get Out, he got nominated for Best Actor, which was really strange last year because he was going up against Gary Oldman and Daniel Day-Lewis and these titans who were just doing these incredible films in Daniel Day's last film. Right. And I don't know, that seemed odd to me, and he was in Black Panther also, so maybe he'll get it. He'll pass on the magic to him as well, the Oscar nominee touch. We'll see. I don't know. But for my guess, it's going to go to Ethan Hawke for First Reformed.
Yeah, and for me, I've got 3 here, one of which I haven't seen, but Ethan Hawke for First Reformed, Sonny Soljic from mid-90s, and then from what I've heard, Christian Bale from Vice, I've heard he did a very good job. So it's very possible I could see him getting a role here, just from what I've been listening to about Vice. But my money is going to have to be on Ethan Hawke from First Reformed. I think this is probably his best acting role he's ever been given. I think he could walk away with at least a nomination. And if I had a choice, I would think he would probably get the golden statue for his role here.
I think it would actually be pretty cool if Sonny Soljic got the nomination because he is one of the neatest up-and-coming young actors.
Yeah,
he did the motion capture work for Atreus in God of War, which was Best Game of the Year. And he did really well in Killing of a Sacred Deer. And I also saw him this year in The House with a Clock in Its Walls. So he's really up and coming, and he's really good.
Yeah. So, like I said, I would not be surprised if he was given a nomination for this. I don't know if it might be worthy of an Oscar win, possibly, but I'm going to have to go with Ethan Hawke on this one. I think he did a phenomenal job with what he was given.
All right, listeners, Best Director category. I've got them all filled in. I'm ready to go. I have John Krasinski leading it off with A Quiet Place for Best Directing. Next, I have Alfonso Cuarón for Roma. Damien Chazelle is back. Oh man, what a wonderkind. He's back for First Man. Spike Lee for Black Klansman. And Paul Schrader for First Reformed. Whew.
And I've got a pretty similar list. I've got, Chazelle for First Man, but I've also got Bo Burnham for Eighth Grade. I think it's very possible he could get an Oscar for this. Let me go for my list first. Eighth Grade, Paul Schrader for First Reformed, Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, Spike Lee for Black Klansman, and If Beale Street Could Talk. I think that one also could get a Best Directing nomination at least. My gut likes to say Eighth Grade just because of how well Bo Burnham did on his very first directorial debut. But it's also possible that First Reformed and Roma could also have a leg on that directing Oscar as well. Like I said, I love to say Eighth Grade. That would be my pick, but those other 3 very well could easily take that Oscar, in my own opinion. If Beale Street Could Talk, I can see it getting a nomination. I don't know if it'll win, but it very well could.
The biggest battle I see is between Alfonso Cuarón and Paul Schrader.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that.
That is just so tough because the direction on both is some of the best I've seen.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think I'm going to edge it out and say Paul Schrader, I think, should get it. But who would I probably like to see get it just for fun? Honestly, I'd kind of like to see John Krasinski get it. I think that'd be really cool to see him for his first, like I said, directing, writing, and acting. I think he did a great job. Now, don't get me wrong, this is no Mel Gibson Braveheart situation where Mel is starring and acting and writing.
Right.
Pulling off some incredible feats here. But nevertheless, I do think it would be cool to see John get it.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool to see him get that. I know we kind of subtly mentioned it, but yeah, this is not his first movie he's made, directed, or anything. But this is probably the biggest one that has been released from him. That's gotten this much attention, at least. It's possible he could get it. I don't think my money would be on him. I don't think he'd be my first pick, but I could see him possibly getting a nomination at the very least.
All right, this is it. This is the big category, Best Picture of the Year. Ooh, this is going to be a tough one. And just so you know, listeners, last year there was 9 nominees, I believe. I think there can be up to 10. And in way long years past, I think there's only 5. So it fluctuates every year, it seems like. But my guess is they're probably going to go with 9 again this year. And of all the movies I saw this year, I thought 5 of them had potential of being Best Picture of the Year. So there is possibly 4 or 5 more that are a mystery to me. But as for my thoughts on who are going to get nominated in the Best Picture category, I have A Quiet Place, Christopher Robin, First Man, Black Klansman, and First Reformed.
And for me, I only have 4 here. Well, actually, no, I got 5. I've got 8th Grade, First Reformed, Widows, and Black Klansman, and Roma. I would like to see 8th Grade get it. I would also like to see First Reformed get it. I could definitely see Widows and Black Klansman getting that Oscar, and even Roma. But if I had to settle on one that I think the Academy would probably go for, maybe Widows, possibly even Black Klansman would be a great contender with that. I would love to see either First Reformed or 8th Grade get it. Maybe 8th Grade. But man, that is close. Those are my picks for Best Picture here. And I think that one's going to be a pretty close one. I'm really curious to see what the nominees are tomorrow.
I think my pick might surprise some people, but my pick for Best Picture of the Year is Christopher Robin. I thought the writing was phenomenal. It had an incredible worldview that was actually really deep for a Winnie the Pooh movie, but it was much more than that. And I also believe that at this stage of my life, it meant a lot more to me than it would have otherwise, probably. But I guess I just connected with it so much, and I saw so many other people from different generations connect with it as well. So I think just because of the emotional reach and its like kind of message and worldview that it put out through these Winnie the Pooh characters and Christopher Robin, and like I said, my connection with it as well, how it was able to kind of reach across, because I loved Winnie the Pooh growing up, but then kind of bringing into this Christopher Robin element in my adulthood, I found it to be just a truly incredible, phenomenal film. Yeah, it's gonna be my Best Picture of the Year, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that would be kind of funny if that one came as like an underdog, because there have been years past, I think even last year too, there were movies on the Best Picture nominee list that weren't nominated for any other category. So that would be interesting if Christopher Robin gets a nomination for Best Picture this year.
The 2 other things I did forget to mention actually was I did have 3 other possibilities for Best Director, and those 3 are the Russo brothers for Avengers Infinity War, and the Coen brothers for The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and Mark Forster for Christopher Robin.
Okay. I've seen Avengers, but I haven't seen the other 2, Ballad of Buster Scruggs or the other one. Yeah, I don't know if the Academy would go for Avengers, if we're being honest here, but it is possible, I suppose.
Well, we will find out tomorrow, listeners. Yes. The Oscars are going to be announced depending on where you live. If you lived on the West Coast, then you're getting up at 5:20 in the morning to hear what's going on. If you live in Mountain Time, then I guess it's 6:20. If you live Central Time, then that would be 7:20, and then if you live on the East Coast, that would be 8:20. Now, if you live outside of the United States, I don't know. You'll have to look that up. But right. Yeah, I don't know why they decide to announce it that early before the sun has come up. I guess so people can know and kind of get on with their day, so the talking heads like us can have something to talk about when we wake up, I guess. We don't have to wait throughout the whole rest of the day. But
right.
We will be, don't wake up at 5:20 and expect there to be a podcast uploaded of us talking about it. We will be talking about it in the morning. We will be together watching the announcements, and we'll be recording and giving our reactions to the nominees and what we think of those. And I'm really looking forward to it. I kind of feel like a kid on Christmas Eve right now, kind of anticipating what we're going to see nominated. And hopefully some of my nominations will come true. And yours too.
Right. Yeah, I'm curious to know. It is a weird time to get it, not just like on the hour, but 7:20, 20 minutes after the hour is strange for me. And why so early? Why didn't they? My question is, why didn't they just do it at midnight? Maybe there's a good reason for it. Who knows? I guess it really only is nominations, so it's not like you're going to miss the live ceremony like the Oscars would, but it is still a strange time.
Well, listeners, make sure to check back tomorrow because we will have the podcast out where you can hear all of our thoughts on all of the nominees, what we are excited about, what we're disappointed about, what we're possibly even devastated about that may not get the nomination despite us thinking it deserves it. And regardless, we will be elated with some of our with some of the nominations as well, finding out what those will be. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Make sure to join in on the conversation. Head over to our Facebook page, comment there. You can even tweet at us, send us an email. And then, of course, on this podcast as well, there's a comment section. Go down to the comments. We originally put them up on Podbean, but I know that gets broadcast and picked up on the feeds to a lot of different podcasting services. So I don't know if those have comments under individual podcasts as well, but I do know that under Podbean does have comments. So make sure to chime in on the comments section what you thought of our nominees, and we want to know what your nominees are as well. We love talking about films and we love talking about them with you. Make sure to click the subscribe button so you won't miss out on our reactions tomorrow. Also, go ahead and share this with your friends. And while you're at it, give us 5 stars on iTunes. We really do appreciate that. That does help us in the rankings, get noticed by other people as well, because like I said, we love talking about movies with other people. So it's nice when new people come into the conversation, when they discover the podcast for the first time. It's great to have a large film community we can talk about this with. So listeners, you are awesome. We really do appreciate your listenership. We have listeners across the world listening to us, and I think that's just amazing, and it's really humbling. We do appreciate that, and we do say thank you. So we are looking forward to coming back to you tomorrow, and we'll see you very soon to talk about the Oscar nominees.